I'm actually no one special, and I show up every day. Some days are harder than others, but how I think of myself is someone who's always struggled with having self-worth,
How difficult it is to operate from a space of fear.
because life will continue to make you suffer until you realize you don't have to anymore. Is that no one has it figured all out? Absolutely no one does. The people who you think have it all figured out are the biggest pretenders that exist.
It feels sometimes selfish, to care for yourself.
But it's not the action that keeps you stuck. What keeps you stuck is the feeling of that action. It's the guilt that keeps you stuck. Very, very simply, do it willingly or do not do it at all. If you don't care for yourself, how can you care for anyone else?
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of No Filters, Just Founders. Today, my guest is someone who is living transformation expert, holistic health coach, former bodybuilder, a six-figure entrepreneur, and the host of the Rawesome Parent podcast. From hitting rock bottom in a foreign country at 20 to becoming a father, entrepreneur, and founder of Self-Built Health. This guy has spent 15 years helping parents and high performance rebuild energy, confidence, and authenticity. With a background in health science and international coaching experience and radical transparency in his story, he is here to share the work behind the real change. I welcome Shaun Tucker on my show. Hi, Shaun. How are you? Thank you so much for making this podcast possible.
Thank you, Chiranjeevi. It's so nice to be here with you and your audience. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
We really appreciate you being here. And I have a series of questions. We are going to talk so much about so many things. But one thing that I asked my podcast guests before we deep dive into everything is that we know them as people who have built this amazing journey, who has built this, a transformation, and who has this amazing story behind them. But we would like to know more about them, what they think about themselves. So who do you think is Shaun according to you?
Great question. I really love that.
Thank you.
I'm actually no one special, and I show up every day. Some days are harder than others, but how I think of myself is someone who's always struggled with having self-worth, if I'm being completely open and transparent. Self-worth is something that doesn't come from outside. That's what I've had to learn the hard way. We are all worthy to exist, but some of us don't feel worthy to exist. And we all have a right as a life to exist. So my journey is one of many, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to that. But understanding that you are actually a lot smaller than you realize. If you think you're a big person, you're probably not as big as you think. So, yeah.
And just to understand more deep into when you talk about didn't felt worthy, what was that, how did that happen? And what actually made you believe that you are not worthy?
It's a great question. So even last night I was writing a journal prompt, and one of the things was I actually prompted myself. So I use my unconscious to prompt myself. And I don't usually write in my journal all the time. I'm not a daily journaler. But when I feel like it's necessary, like I need to write some things out of my brain onto paper, I'll just open up, grab the pen, and just write. And the question that I asked myself was, what fills me up? The first thing I wrote was money in my bank account. And when I read that back, something didn't feel right about that, because it was coming from a place of head and in my mind. And if you focus on what you don't have, your life will be suffering with what you don't have. What actually fills me up, this is when we went through a process of doing some breathwork journey and some pranayama and really getting deep into the subconscious. I realized that the thing that fills me up is the feeling in my heart that I've made an impact on someone else, that I've made a difference and a positive impact on someone else's life. That's what really fills me up. So the money in my bank account is merely a byproduct of the impact that I make. But simply, if someone smiles after being with me, that to me is a win, and that's what actually fills me up. So the reason why it was not there before, I guess when we don't have a full understanding of what's important to us, then we will never grasp or feel fulfilled. We end up chasing success that's determined what society says is success. But success is not something can't be objectified, because it's different between you and it's different between me. What success means to you is totally different to what someone else says success is. So it's subjective, right?
Yeah.
And that success, if you're working hard just to become successful, you have to ask yourself, what does success mean to me? And when you really peel back these layers of who you think you are, you get to who you really are. And who you really are is that kid inside, the person who doesn't have any expectations, the kid who just likes to play, the kid who just likes to be with other people and interact without shyness, without fear, just as themselves. And that's what I realized.
Beautiful. Although I would like to ask you one more follow-up for this. I believe in what you are saying, because every time I feel down, I always track back to when I was a child, when I was a kid, and I used to think I think that what a kid would do, what that kid would think about this thing. So I exactly get what you're saying, but we have lived in a world for so long time where there is one currency that works. Like there is the money currency. Money is the ultimate currency for everyone. So when you grow up in an environment which constantly talk about building money, building, attaching success to money, of course, but also the materialistic wealth, which definitely people like, it looks like it gives you the happiness and, at least gives you ability to build a happy life. So, in that case, how do you define success? And in that case, what is a person who thinks money is the ultimate happiness? What would you say to that person?
So money can create freedom. If you don't have freedom, you're most likely still in survival, right?
Hmm.
And survival means that you are doing the best that you can given what you have.
Hmm.
Finding happiness in those moments, although challenging, you can still find happiness. So does happiness and success, do they mean the same thing? Not necessarily. Does money bring you happiness? Well, you'll find that it probably doesn't, but it can give you the freedom to find the happiness. Because when you're more empowered, when you have more money and you have more freedom, you have time to stop and realize what's really important. And you find a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who have lots of money, they're earning 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, whatever. They have all the time, they have all the money in the world. Yet they are so disconnected from what happiness means to them because they're still chasing it outside of themselves. So everything, whether it's rage, whether it's happiness, whether it's like anger or sadness or grief or whatever it is, it's generated from within us.
Hmm.
And so whatever's happening outside of us should amplify what we are feeling. But we should be able to experience a choice, have the freedom to choose. So to me, success is actually freedom to choose how I want to be in this situation.
Beautiful. That's really amazing. And when we talk about freedom and success, when did you first realize these things? Because we know you had a very very transformative journey where from having the binge drinking episode to be in this holistic coach right now and, building this amazing life for yourself as well as for the people. But when was that one realization? It was like, I need to, like, firstly, you realized, okay, there's a difference between what you feel right inside, like happiness, and what people show what happiness is. And how did you understand that moment? Like, how that realization changed your life?
It's an interesting one because I feel like we are constantly reminded by this. Every single day, every single time it comes up, we're reminded that this is true. Like, you look at Eastern spirituality or spirituality in any sense, and you'll find that happiness doesn't come from outside. It doesn't come from material wealth. It doesn't come from material objects. It doesn't come from how you look. It doesn't come from how you sound. But it comes to how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world. So throughout my journey, I think it's just been a constant reminder and a questioning of my internal compass is feeling off. I feel totally disconnected and unsafe right now. What am I doing that's not in alignment with what I really want? And that part of what do I really want, nobody has the answer. It comes through experience. It comes through understanding what you don't want.
And do you think it keeps evolving? Like, sorry to interrupt you, but do you think it keeps evolving what you want?
Absolutely. Yeah. It keeps evolving and it keeps changing. It's like I was literally having a conversation with someone earlier. We were talking about, we met each other on a mountain hike only a month ago. And it was very serendipitous or synchronous, because I was actually emailing this lady about a week before. And she bumped into me and my family when we were going up the mountain. She was coming back down the mountain. And we then had a follow-up meeting after that, because it was very strange that I was on the other side of Melbourne. I drove to the other side of Melbourne to climb this hike. We were there at the exact same moment. She was coming down, I was going up. And looking at that for a second, it was like, we all have these pathways we're climbing. We all have these greater intentions or greater desires in our life to be fulfilled. Do we truly know what's at the peak of the mountain or the peak of the summit? We don't, right? And when we get there, is it actually important? Most of the time it's not, right?
Yeah. It's
But
a
we look
journey.
back. We're able to look back. We're able to look around and understand what experience do we want to have next. Because we are the ones who choose to suffer, or we are the ones who choose to experience joy in that journey. And that is a hard question to answer when you feel like there's no other option but to suffer. Because life will continue to make you suffer until you realize you don't have to anymore.
Oh, so to understand more about this, uh, sometimes life gives you circumstances where you have to choose what is required rather than what it feels right to you, or rather than what happiness means to you. Sometimes there are uncertain circumstances that life just throws at you, and you have to be like, I need to do this right now. I can't focus on whatever I want. So how to deal with such kind of situation?
Yeah, I guess I'll make it more understandable for your audience as well. So when let's say we made a plan to go and climb the mountain, we know the mountain climb is going to be hard. We know that in the morning when it comes up to 6 a.m., a part of me doesn't want to get out of bed and doesn't want to go and climb the mountain, right? But why do we still commit ourselves to do it? We know that there's going to be pain involved. We know that there's going to be aspects that we're not going to like during that journey. And sometimes when I've done it in the past, there was actually a younger, much younger kid, he was 10 years old, would come up the mountain hiking climbs that we would do once a month. And every single time he would start going the hard path, he would hate it. He would complain. He would just be in so much pain that he couldn't bear it anymore. And he'd have to stop. His mum was there, so he would have to consolidate with his mum, and eventually they would keep climbing. You get to the top, we would stop. We would just take it all in. And then the joy on his face, the blissfulness on his face was just priceless. To know that he had climbed the mountain that he thought he couldn't climb, and that now he's able to go down the mountain, right? That's the experience that we often avoid. It's actually the journey that's most rewarding. It's never the destination. So people learn to create wealth. It's probably not having all of the material objects, but it's the pursuit of actually getting to where they want to go. And that is such a powerful perspective shift, because for the entrepreneurs who are really solving worldly problems, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of commitment to believe in yourself enough to believe that you can actually change this problem that is happening right now. It takes a lot of courage.
Definitely, I agree with that. For sure. I know a lot about your journey. I guess some of my audience might know about it, some might not know. In brief, can you share how did your journey started from 2010 to till now? And also, I would like to know one specific thing, like one specific moment where which is not talked about your journey, like which a lot of people don't know about, but it has transformed you to what you are today. So can you just walk us through that?
Sure. Yeah. So 15 years ago, all the way back in 2010, I was overweight. I had extremely low self-esteem. I was very, very anxious. I would stutter my words. I didn't speak up because I didn't feel it was valuable for me to speak up. I'd let people kind of just walk over me just because, like, I didn't have a voice to say no. And when I had my binge drinking incident, it woke me up. So I remember being overseas, we were drinking copious amounts of alcohol, and all of a sudden, I don't remember anything, blacked out. Woke up the next morning, I was where I was meant to be. My brother was there, I was safe. But the thing was, I'd never felt so sick in all of my life. I was feeling so disgusting. And in that moment of disgust with myself, I decided that I didn't ever want to feel like that ever again. And so I made a promise to myself. I said, I'm going to change how I am and how I'm going to live my life from now. Because at that time, I didn't know what direction or purpose I wanted to go on. All I know is that I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And I made a commitment to my health and decided to start working on myself. And I found the gym as an outlet to build myself and to walk that path of leading a healthy life. And since then, it has been a really wild journey, because I didn't realize that I was still avoiding the things that made me or kept me where I was. Even to this day, I would still eat and binge out on snack foods, right? So I'm far from perfect. But my hope in your audience or people listening to this episode of this podcast is that no one has it figured all out. Absolutely no one does. The people who you think have it all figured out are the biggest pretenders that exist, right? Because destroying this idea that we have to be perfect is an important piece for us to become our true whole selves. If we are perfectly embodied in our imperfect ways, it means we can be better leaders, we can be better teachers, we can be better guides, and we can be better parents. Because it's the lies and the deception that lead us to believe that the world is not safe. But it's when we're open and honest through conversations, we actually realize that there's so much more to life than what we think there actually is. And we can start to choose to enjoy each moment rather than just do it for the sake of it. So to fast forward a little bit, I decided to operate professionally from that learned experience of my own health journey. And I started showing other people how to live that life. And I got frustrated that I couldn't help the people that most needed to be helped. I didn't realize that there was more to the picture and those aspects that I was avoiding within myself. Your emotional health, your mental health, and your physical health, and your spiritual health, they're all entwined. They all connect to each other. So now it's more about how can I help this person gain the necessary self-awareness so that they can be empowered enough to make a better decision about their health, about their finances, about their life and their relationships, because that's what I've given myself permission to do. And that's what my company is all about now, is through someone who is a little bit lost and disconnected and feeling overweight. They don't like the way that they look. They don't have any solution, long-term solution that's worked for them. Those are the people that I am here to help, because that's who I was.
Very awesome. And when we talk about perfection, it's very I believe it was because very difficult for me when to come up on social media and firstly talk about myself, and then also talk about where I failed, where I went wrong. I'm learning it lately. I am trying to address my failures as well as my success. But I found it to be very difficult to be that authentic in front of people. How did you learn this, and was it difficult for you when you started? Is it still difficult for you, and how did you come across that?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question, Shaun Divi. So it's hard to say, but the easiest way to do it is to just do it.
Yeah.
Because it's the expectations and the thoughts that we have about ourselves that is actually getting us
Yes.
away from being that next best version of ourselves. And if we doubt what we put out into social media, right, that will be amplified and replicated 100 times back.
Yeah.
So for example, if you really don't think that what you're saying here is a bit of a sob story or whatever, like you want sympathy, people will see that and they'll amplify that feeling back to you, either in a good way or a really nasty way. Because you have supporters, everybody has supporters, but then there's also people that are triggered or like activated from what you've said. So in short, you need to prepare yourself to handle yourself for the negative feedback as well as the positive feedback.
Yeah.
So you just need to keep going. I've started a little series called my Shame Story series, which is basically just me unfiltered sharing about these things that have happened in my life that I've taken lessons from. And one of the ones that I shared last week was literally about a mentor who made me feel publicly shamed for basically not being an alpha male, for not using that fear and arcing up and throwing it back at him, right? Because that's not my personality. My personality is someone who's very gentle, very caring, and will listen exactly what you're saying. And so sometimes those words can be really hurtful to me, but those really hurtful words are the things that actually lead me to becoming that best version of myself, which is so ironic.
Can I just add, I have
Yeah.
seen this alpha male thing so much right now surfacing around in the world. As a girl, especially as a girl, I believe alpha male is someone who listens, who cares and understands for you rather than someone who is just that angry man and just trying to control your life. So yeah, like pardon my word, but screw that guy. I mean, come on. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally
So
agree. If I looked at that mentor now, I believe that they're in a separated, like their marriage is not working out. They have kids, but really the things that are important to me, I still have. The things that
yeah.
maybe he thought were important to him are now crumbling. So look, things go around and come around. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely for sure. Awesome. Um, Now, you are like you're one of the most unfiltered person as you're talking about this. You're one of the most unfiltered person I have seen who talks about his journey so authentically. Has that authenticity, like sharing that authenticity, affected you in, as we talked about, there is negative feedback always, but has it also affected you and your business, like your coaching business in general?
Yeah. Initially, I would say that because I was almost doing open market research, it negatively affected my business in the last, since I became a father. So 14 months ago, I became a dad. And
Congratulations.
thank you. In the first probably 8 months or so, I really was challenged because I was trying to force myself to, let's say, get more clients and have a more stable income so that
Mm,
I could provide for my family, right? But life had other plans for me. Life wanted to show me who I was avoiding. And who I was avoiding was that softer, that gentler, that more flow and ease personality that people love authenticity, right?
yeah.
So initially it harmed, but at the same time it only harmed because I was afraid of feeling vulnerable.
Mm,
And the more we combat our fears, the more comfortable we become combating our fears. So I think sometimes I wonder, did I overshare here? Right? But at the same time, I'm just trusting. So that the more you combat these fears, the more you, I suppose, open up into a new space of impact and love that you have for other people. Like I mentioned earlier, it's that making a difference in other people's lives is what really fills me up. So for me to make an impact, I have to be raw, I have to be unfiltered.
yeah.
I can't pretend to be someone I'm not because ultimately that leads to more illusion and people being disappointed that actually this person is not true to what they say.
And is it difficult? Of course, it's difficult, but like how difficult it is to operate from a space of fear where it's like I need to do this because if I don't do this, there will be consequence. To operating from a space of I need to do this so that I can create an impact, or I need to do this so that I can help so many people. So how does that? And do you juggle between both things? Because every time I do things that I love. Every time there is a constant fear that if I don't get this right, things might become horrible or things might not go as the way I planned. So how do you do that? And also, is it like following the path of impact, or does it take you towards closer to your plan, or does it pulls you back like from that plan?
Yeah, great questions. I would say that it is a fine, delicate balance because fear, you have to face your fears to overcome your fears. If you're avoiding them,
Mhm,
and this is where it becomes a real juggle because no one wants to feel uncomfortable. Everybody wants to feel comfortable. But the growth
mhm.
comes through the being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And there's something I'm going to read out in my book here because I think it's very relevant. In your entrepreneurial journey or in your own life journey, life will knock you around. You'll feel bliss and you'll feel depression, right? So you're not going to be able to choose just one way of feeling, because that's not how life is actually made to be, right? So there's highs and lows. For us to find that balance, it's us being able to regulate ourselves, which means how quickly we can bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
For people that go into really, really long depressions,
Mm-hmm.
their ability to bounce back is not very good, right? For people that go very high and then very low very quickly in a short amount of time, they're able to regulate themselves. They can experience and dance here, and then they can dance all the way back here and bring themselves back up to a happy normal. And I think that's where it becomes so important to use something like your breath to manage that, because your breath is the state changer. It allows you to move down and it allows you to move up, depending on how quick and how deep your breath actually is. Yeah.
And does it help you navigate through your fear? Like, for example, if someone is operating from a space of fear, who is not specifically dealing with depression, but maybe I'm just asking this question, I would say for myself, but
Yeah, of course.
yeah, but like I've seen so many people as well that they operate from a space of fear, and uh, they don't know how to navigate, not just through the entire month, week, but through, even not through the day, but for sometimes for the hour, and they try to find some kind of escapism. Like, I'll just do this so that I can escape from this negative feeling, from this, fearful feeling that I'm having right now. And that doesn't help at all. It just leads up to some kind of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do one do that constant breath work, or what kind of breath work helps in this kind of situations?
It actually comes back to a even more simple skill, but simple
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean easy,
Yeah.
is awareness. Awareness, because we're personalities, right? We have
Right.
personalities. But if you removed your personality, you would just be. There wouldn't
Yeah.
be any doing, it would just be happening.
Yeah.
And why I say that is, within our personality, within our nervous system, we
Mm-hmm.
have certain expectations, we have certain memories that become activated through different environments. And so if you're living in fear, most people don't know they're living in fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's until you get out of your fear, you realize, wait, I was actually operating from a place of fear. So now that I know that, how can I change how I am in that situation or in that environment? Using something like awareness, right? You now
Yeah.
have the power to understand when you're moving. So if you don't have awareness and you use something like breath work, you don't know where you are. You don't know what kind of level or state you're at. But having that level of awareness, you have to remove yourself, bring yourself back in. Some people can do that like that. Some people need an actual environmental shift. Some people just need to become aware of their thoughts for a moment. What am I thinking? Okay, this is actually quite negative. I need to change my state. And all of the personal development gurus will tell you the same. People like Tony Robbins uses breath to change his state. And a very simple way is just extend your out breath. So as you breathe out, just through the nose, and shorter in breath. So, because what you do when you breathe out longer is you allow to receive. You allow yourself to receive. When you are a little bit stressed, normally there's elements of fear or danger or safety being threatened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just allowing yourself to see and take in more information. That's what the breath does for you. So if you extend those out breaths, you become more relaxed and you allow yourself to take in more information, which means that you can make a better decision based on where you are right now.
Really. I get why you said that it is simple but not easy. Yeah. But yeah, that's really amazing what you just shared over here. Uh, I just had one more follow-up question to this. Sometimes I find myself, I'm aware of the things I'm doing which are wrong. I'm just doing it to find some kind of escape from the feeling that I have. Um, and when I have that awareness, I try to get out of it. It is difficult sometimes. I know that I should not do this, right? But I'm still doing it because I know if I go back to what I was thinking, it is not going to help me. And
Hmm.
that's where I get stuck in a constant loop of doing something for myself and then escaping from it, escaping, that loop. And
Yeah.
even though I have that awareness, still I find it difficult to just go on a path where I'm just doing things that makes me happy rather than trying to escape from those uncertain and difficult situations. So in that case, what would you suggest someone who has the awareness, but still they are stuck in a constant loop?
Very, very simply, do it willingly or do not do it at all.
Okay.
Because even if something is negative and it's not helpful to your, where you're going towards your goal and you're falling
Mm,
off, let's say you're on a weight loss journey and you start, you open up the packet of chips, it's not a good behavior for
mm,
you to keep doing that,
yeah.
but it's not the action that keeps you stuck.
Mm,
What keeps you stuck is the feeling of that action. So if you feel guilty from having that packet of chips or
mm,
going off course, right,
yeah.
and distracting yourself, it's the guilt that keeps you stuck. So if you did it willingly and you open that
Mm,
packet of chips and you just enjoy it and you have no
mm,
remorse and no regret and no guilt held in that space, what's wrong with that? There's no attachment to it. It actually means that you can move on with your life without feeling guilty because it's that negative feeling that keeps you where you are. And it's not the action that keeps you where you are. It's the feeling of that action.
yeah, that's really amazing. I even saw your video where you talk about it's stress, not calories. I came across a similar video where someone talked about um, so in India over here, it's a very big debate when it comes to corporate employees.
Mhm.
Sometimes the CEOs or the founders of the company says that you have to work 70 hours, 90 hours a week, to make the company good, and they talk about their employees. So there was one neurologist who said that when a founder talks about working 70 hours, 90 hours, they are talking about working on their baby, they're talking on working about on their company. So 70 hours, 90 hours doesn't affect them. If they don't work, that is going to affect them. That is going to create that stress in their mind. But when an employee is doing that, it is like, for them, it feels like I'm giving so much of my time and I'm not able to live my life. Now, they are not operating from a sense of if I don't do this, this is not going to, make something big for me. They're operating from a space of stress that
Mhm.
if I'm working so much, what is there left for me? So it is the difference between how the person thinks about those 70, 90 hours. It's not the 70, 90 hours, it's how that person perceives those hours creates the entire difference. I guess same over here as well, like what kind of feeling it creates, as you said, inside your brain is what going to navigate it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
because those feelings in your thoughts become ingrained in your body as
Yeah.
feelings in your cells.
Hmm.
It's so much more than what we realize and how connected and interconnected everything is. It's just so much deeper than what we realize.
Now I'm going to ask you a very, I wouldn't say weird question, but a different question.
Mhm.
So we see you healing people. We see right now also, I guess it's a master class for everyone who is, facing difficulties in their life with respect to healing and understanding themselves. And we know your journey, like from where you started and how, you transformed your journey. Right now, in the space or in your life, who is that one person who is giving you that space? Because you have created the space for everyone. But for you, who has created that space and who is that person right now?
Honestly, it's probably my wife. She does so much more for me and our family than I probably appreciate her for, and show my appreciation towards that. Because if I didn't have her, I would certainly have my back up against a wall and operating from a place of scarcity and fear. But the reality is that I'm not that, and I do have the freedom to work on myself and to show other ways to people, to work on themselves. Because the best gift you can give anyone is to work on yourself. The best gift that they can give back to you is permission to work on themselves too. Because we can't change anyone except ourselves. And that person is most certainly my wife. She's always like a few steps ahead of me somehow. I don't know how, but she just is.
Get that.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And how, like, of course, there are all these romantic love stories and, all these, like, true love stories talked about. But what does real companionship feels like? You have been with your wife from, I guess, 2015, if I'm not wrong.
Since
Uh,
2012, actually, we've been
2012.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up to 13 years this year, and we endured 5 years of international long distance
Oh,
relationship.
yeah. Yes.
So that really tested our relationship on so many different levels. But I guess the thing is, my mum has always been a great teacher to me in understanding love and companionship in many ways. And she says, the longer the distance, the heart grows fonder, basically.
Yeah.
So we actually grow this capacity to love each other even deeper the more we are apart from each other. And that actually became really true, because at those moments where I was really thinking, I can't do this anymore, my intention, I could never have broken up our relationship without seeing her physically. I wouldn't be that kind of person to do that.
Mm.
So whenever I was like, this is it, I'm going to have this conversation, and I'm going to say, this is how I feel, and this might be the last conversation we have. Each time we would meet, my heart would melt. My heart would melt, and I just knew that she was the girl for me. I just knew it.
And like, how does that companionship looks like, after so many years, almost 13 years? Um, how does it look like? Basically, how did she help you grow? Not just because I know, in throughout your journey, having a companion who motivates you to in their journey is what actually makes you grow and makes you a better person. So, how did she help you?
So there's an element of where there's pressure, you'll know who you truly are.
Hmm.
When it comes to relationships, though, it's it can get quite tough, because where there's high pressure, most people don't have the capacity to hold that space within themselves and not react to what the other person is saying. And I would say in the beginning of our relationship, wasn't that we avoided, it was more that we both agreed. We were both in agreement to certain aspects, or there wasn't one who kind of won the directions or the decisions. It was more about we both just kind of agreed and accepted and moved on. I guess as the relationship evolved more, and we've been married 5 years, going on 6 years this year, it's sort of become okay to have disagreements. But at the same time, these disagreements become high pressure situations.
Yeah.
So it always comes back to that aspect of, how can I handle and manage myself through this? So how can I regulate myself? Because that allows them, and sometimes it will be really deeply triggering. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is hard. It is very hard. But those are the moments that we have of opportunity for growth and the opportunity to get closer in companionship, because we're not always going to get along. We're not always going to have agreements. We're going to have disagreements, but it's
Yeah.
us being able to stay there and hear what they have to say
Mm.
rather than just having to be right. And usually my wife's right.
That I can't disagree. Oh my God. That's for sure. That's really amazing. But I'm so glad you found someone. You both found actually each other, and I feel like in this world where dating and relationship has become so complicated, finding that true one is really a blessing, and I'm so happy that you guys have each other. It's really
Yeah. It is hard for a lot of people these days, in all honesty. I don't know if I would manage.
awesome.
But I guess you just got to trust. You just got to trust that the right person is ready to find you when you're ready to find them. And it's not what you think, it's more what you feel.
Definitely.
Mm.
Today in today's culture, it's more like everyone fears commitment because they had some experiences in past, and it gets labeled as I'm not ready for commitment, and then it transforms into let's do something casual and that sort of things. So it never turns out to be something very meaningful and thoughtful. Um, but yeah, I guess it's just because humans have been loving each other and having these great love stories for so long, like, it's like millions and million years. So
Yeah,
it's same pattern. It's just that we have to tweak our mindset a little bit. Yeah,
spot on.
for
Yeah,
sure.
just be present. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I have so many questions, but I know we are short on time, so I'll just ask you two more questions. One thing that I would like to ask you is that what are you currently working on right now? What's the plan for 2025, and what are the new big things we can see from you?
Awesome question. I mean, the thing that I'm working on is actually building an ecosystem right now of people that are like me and people who want to be that next the best version of themselves and step into their true leadership so that
Mm,
they can start impacting not only their family and themselves in their family, but also their community
mm,
and the people that actually see them. They might not think that they're leaders right now, but for me, it's the program that I'm putting out there is called the Inner Hero, and that's really being for the people who have been, let's say, self-sacrificing empaths who want to actually become unapologetic authorities because they have every right to step up into their leadership. For people who are sick of feeling not worthy of existing, to actually being able to provide and protect their family because that is what they want to do. So putting together the foundations for that program, and also the next stage of, I work with a lot of business owners. So I have another joint venture with another good friend where we help holistic businesses really understand what they have to offer and how they can
mm,
offer it in a structured way that leads to scale, allows them
mhm.
to build a meaningful business that impacts not just them and their family, but the greater
Mm.
community as well.
So over there, do you also talk about just following up on our initial conversation? Is it also about how to make more money using the holistic approaches, or is it more about how to create more impact?
Well, it's not one without the other. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
both. Because when you have deep emotional scars around money, you'll
Mm-hmm.
actually be very limited to the kind of impact that you can make.
Yeah,
And money deeply impacts health as well.
for sure.
So I guess when I see health, I see it as more like well-being, as holistic
Mm-hmm.
well-being. And when you're able to face yourself through money, through relationships, through your own health and the habits that make you you, we can transform that into something that's meaningful, that allows you to become the educator, to become the
Mm,
safety, that other people can actually transform through you, and you deserve to be paid for that.
Yeah.
So it's creating that impact with money as the enhancer or the amplifier, because how much money I make is how much money I'm willing to ask for.
Yeah.
But coming from a place of care that's very heart led, not from a place that money is great and I want to buy things.
Mm. Just one follow-up question to this. Is it difficult to care for yourself? Because we can care for everyone in the world, but caring for your own self is something even I personally struggle with sometimes. I have to go through the positive affirmations or the affirmations so that, I tell myself, you got this. But most of the time, I kind of fail at caring myself. So how difficult is it to care for yourself, not just when you are in the personal side of your life, but also in the professional side?
I see them all connected, both professionally and personally, right? So the way that I see it is, if you don't care for yourself, how can you care for anyone else? You
Hmm.
should be caring for yourself first.
Hmm.
And this might only be 5 minutes a day, right? If you're spending the other however many thousand minutes or hundreds of minutes every single day taking care of others, you need 5 minutes to yourself, 5 minutes to take care of yourself. Because if you're giving from an empty cup, if you're giving from a place that is really deeply fearful and scared, what's that putting out to others?
Hmm. Can I just say, like, this podcast is, I guess, my way of caring for myself, because I really like to speak and I really like to speak with people, and having guests like you with whom, I can have this amazing conversations is what helps me care for myself. So I'm really glad that we did this thing. I'm really glad that, and I'm really thankful to you that we made this happen. But yeah, this was really amazing. I just have, sorry, Sridhar.
I was
Uh,
just going to say thank you, Chiranjeevi, for initiating this, because you're right. We can have both. We can take care of ourselves and take care of other people at the same time, right? We can help. There's a quote. I'm not sure who it's by, but it's like, how do you make yourself wealthy? Well, actually, you make other people wealthy. How do you make yourself
mm,
happy? You make other people happy.
yeah.
But be very aware, self-aware,
Mm,
what place is that coming from? If it's coming from
yeah.
a place, if I'm depressed and I'm putting out happiness everywhere,
Mm,
and that's reciprocating happiness back to me, but I can't receive it,
yeah.
means that I'm becoming more and more empty, and I'll keep going further and further into that depression.
Mm.
Hmm.
I just have one last question.
Go for it.
What are the three mindset shift you would like to give to Shaun, when he was starting back in 2011, 2010? Because I would like to hear those three mindset shift for anyone who is listening to this podcast, who is still, in that phase. So for those people and for the person who was back in 2012, what kind of, mindset shift you would like to give them?
Yeah. The first one is, you don't need to know everything, just keep going. The second one is, lovingly show up even if you don't feel like it.
Mm,
So do it, like I said earlier, do it willingly or don't do it
mm,
at all. If you can find a place in yourself where you can be there lovingly, go for it. Just do it.
mm.
The last one, listen more than you speak. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's very amazing. Uh, Again, Shaun, it was, as I said, it was an amazing podcast. It is, this one would be very close to my heart. I learned so many things, even for myself, and um, yeah, it's really amazing to have you. You are really amazing, and I hope we can do this again. I have so many questions. I have so many things that, I would like to, keep talking with you. So it's really amazing. It's really awesome to have you. And thank you so much for making this possible for us. And I hope we can do this again.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chiranjeevi, and all of the listeners and viewers who are watching or listening today. I really appreciate your time, and yeah, I hope we can connect soon.